So hello and welcome to the Lewis Nichols Show, and I'm really excited to bring on my next guest today. It's the one and only Sam Sparro. How are you?
Good evening, good morning, wherever we are.
I know there's like a time difference with us at the moment, but it's great to get you on the show. I mean, first of all, how are you coping with, have you got lockdown where you are at the moment?
Oh, it's just a shambles. Like the numbers go up, they lock it down, the numbers go down, it's like, it's just a never ending cycle of opening and closing things. But basically I just stay at home and I work from home, and just easier to just keep it cute.
Does it give you a chance to be creative, I guess? Because when you're at home and you've got nothing else to do, I guess that's the time when you can write material, produce stuff, and just, do what you love best, which is music.
I mean, sorry, do we still have a connection?
Yeah. Can you hear us okay?
Okay. Yeah. Okay, good. I think I'm just kind of, the last few months have started to get back into working again. I think in the beginning of lockdown, it was just like such a shock, and everything was just so chaotic and changing so much that, and I think a lot of people experience that too. It just became really difficult to do anything because we were just processing so much. And then I had a really bad accident over the summer, and I was, in hospital. I broke my elbow, my nose.
Wow.
I had a bicycle accident.
Ouch.
I said, like, it's time to get active. I'm going to start riding my bike. And then I took a tumble down a hill. So then I was kind of in bed for a while with a broken arm, but now I'm feeling creative again, which is good.
Getting back to normal. I mean, well, one thing I did want to ask you, really, which is kind of where your love and passion for music actually came from. Did you kind of grow up with a musical family around you?
Yes. My grandfather was a musician. My dad, my brother's a musician. There was always, and I grew up in church, so it was every Sunday it was like on stage singing or in a choir, or there was just, always music around.
And obviously in the UK, we knew some of your previous work, but I think the song Black and Gold for us really kind of made you a household name. It was one of those tracks that has just lived on and become legendary, and everybody knows it. When you play the track, everybody knows it. So, I mean, did you write the song yourself?
Yes.
Amazing. And did you ever anticipate it to get the response that it did get? Because it just went huge for you in regards to chart position.
No, I mean, I didn't ever think, I think when I was starting out my career, I'd always imagined that I would just kind of do the long haul and like eventually kind of build a fan base and a catalog of music. And then, I wasn't expecting that kind of commercial success with that at all. It was definitely a shock. And I mean, it was amazing. It was really incredible. Like all over the world, people know that song, and, continue to cover it and perform it. And, I know it's still on the radio. And so it's amazing to have a song like that people really connect to.
I mean, again, with the track on your debut album, I mean, that again reached the charts, did really well for you. And I guess for you as an artist, when you work so hard on material and you're putting kind of your first album out there, and to get such a good response, that must mean a lot to you, because you would have worked so hard on it, and it's kind of all of your hard efforts have gone into this.
Yeah, I think at the time I didn't really have a chance to savor it and enjoy it the way that I can now looking back, because it was honestly just so much chaos around me. Like, I'd gone from essentially working in a cafe to 3 months later being like in a different country, you know, every few days, like on the radio, on TV, meeting people, going here, like on tour. Just it was such a shock to the system. I think it took a while for it to kind of sink in and to
And I
enjoy
get,
that.
another thing, you obviously seem like a very creative person, because style is another big thing. I mean, a lot of people associate you with just having good style. You always look different and looks good. So is that part of your creativity as well? Because with your music, you seem to be creative, and then with, some of the things that you wear, it's just so cool and different. And you get I think you won an award for it as well, didn't you, before?
I did. I won a GQ Man of Style award,
Nice.
which is nice. Yeah, I mean, I consider myself like a Renaissance man, really. I mean, I do a lot of my own graphic design. I do a lot of my own photography, especially with my newest album. I did like the main promo shots I just took myself. And the clothing, and I sort of, when I make an album or a project, I really see it as a story, and I think the clothing and the styling and the visuals for me like are part of that story.
And you said then about your latest album. So tell us a little bit about that and the projects that you've been working on in kind of the recent years.
Yeah, so my latest album I put out in the year of our Lord 2020, a year that we'll always remember. It's called Boombox Eternal, and it was really like a love letter to my childhood. I wanted to just make something that was very nostalgic. So it was based on, George Michael and Janet Jackson and Michael Jackson and CNC Music Factory, and just stuff that I grew up taping off the radio when I was really little. And but sort of, tell a modern story with it. And there's a lot of, I feel like I always kind of disguise really intense subject matter in like a pop song. So, there's stuff on this album about, mental illness and addiction and love and politics and all this stuff, but it's kind of just disguised in a nostalgic pop album.
What kind of response do you get from that? Because when I listen to a pop song, I always notice powerful lyrics. So despite it being catchy and, uplifting as a track, I always connect to, deep and meaningful lyrics. So have other people kind of reached out to you and said, I love the words in this music?
Yeah, definitely. I think, the fan base that I have that's really, continued to follow me and really appreciate my music, I think they do so because they feel connected to the words a lot of the time. And I've never been able to, for a while I tried to do the kind of songwriting thing where you're writing songs for other artists, and you're doing sessions and you're like, oh, let's pitch a song to X, Y, and Z. And I always struggled with that because I could never just switch it on and like, okay, I'm gonna write a pop song.
Yeah.
For me, I've always had to feel like I have something to say in that moment.
I guess it must be hard to write a song and then give it away, because you seem someone who connects to what you're doing, and a lot of work goes into it. So to then write that and give it to a different artist to perform, that must be a kind of a different situation. I don't think I could do something like that, create something good and then give it away.
Yeah, I mean, I've never really been able to do it. The only times I've had other artists record songs that I've written has been when I'm in the studio with them and we've co-written and we've, created something together.
So what's next for you now? Because obviously we know about the new album, and I guess that's tough in these times that, you know, you can't go out and tour this and show it to everyone, your fans, you know, give the performance with live shows. Hopefully that will come. But what's next for you now? Because we've got that. Have you got some other projects that you can tell us about?
Yeah, so I'm putting out a deluxe version of this album that has a couple of extra songs that I didn't finish for that album, and one of them actually I co-wrote with Emanike when he was out here a couple years ago. We started. It's very like kind of Jam and Lewis, Janet inspired. So I finally finished that up. That's going to come out on the deluxe album in, I think, March. And then I've been working on a new album.
Wow, straight into the next one.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing else to do. I can actually take advantage of the, not being on the, when you're on the road, it's so, some people can record and write when they're doing that, but for me, it's so like intense and draining that that's just the focus. So, I mean, now that I'm still at home, I'm just like, yeah, let's just keep. Also, I'm notoriously slow at releasing music. So I kind of want to pick up the pace a little bit.
Make up for the delay in recent years.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's great, honestly, but the new album, or your latest album's absolutely brilliant. We're going to play some tracks from it now on the show for people to hear. But it'd be great to speak again when you've got your next album up, because I'm assuming now we're not going to have such a delay with the release of music. It seems like you've got enough albums to keep going forward.
I hope so, yeah, and I would love to talk about the next stuff.
Thank you so much for joining us today.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.